Portable spotlight. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
Thanks, Barb. Now, having been around these two teams the last couple of days, a contrasting attitude. I talked to Michael Jordan, and he said, as fired up as I've seen him in quite some time, we still have the same goals. We know it has to go through Detroit, and we are ready. On the Detroit side, when I saw them come to the stadium today, it reminded me of that picture of those soldiers marching with the beat up and bandage with the pipe and the drum. That's the way they look. But one thing they do have in Detroit is pride, championship pride. When I spoke to Isaiah Thomas, he said, all year long I've been reading that Chicago wanted us badly. Well, here we are, so let's get it on.
All right, Ahmad, and over the last 4 years, the Chicago Bulls 12 and 28 against the Detroit Pistons, including the playoffs. Detroit has knocked out the Bulls each of the last 3 seasons, the last 2 in the conference finals. They did it in 6 in 1989. They did it in 7 a year ago. The official, Jake O'Donnell, Jess Kersey, and Jack Neese. Game 1 of the best of 7. As James Edwards gets set to go on the opening tip against Bill Cartwright. The Chicago Bulls in control. The backcourt of John Paxson and Michael Jordan up front. Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, and Bill Cartwright. And the Bulls have been looking to go to Cartwright early as he sets up on Edwards. The Bulls 2, the Pistons nothing.
And you know, it's not like they didn't expect it. James Edwards told us yesterday they like to go to Cartwright in the beginning of the game, try to get me in early foul trouble. Exactly what he thought was going to happen.
Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars in the backcourt. Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, and James Edwards on the front line. Laimbeer rebounded by Grant. Jordan with the pull-up and kept alive by Grant. Jordan off the head fake, try to dish it off. Last touch by the Pistons.
A little variation in the Bulls offense, having Michael Jordan be the guy that flashes to the top of the circle, running a back door with the other guard.
Chicago Bulls, well-rested club. They wrapped their series Tuesday against the 76ers. Here is Paxson. Friday night at the Palace. And last touch by Thomas. Good play by Pippen. Friday night, the Pistons beat the Celtics 117-113 in a grueling, sensational overtime contest. Winning it in 6 and sparked by the injury plague. Isaiah Thomas, the call against Chicago.
24. The big screen set here. Pippen first, then Cartwright. They try to get Isaiah with 2 screens, kind of punish him a little bit at the defensive end. Offensive foul call.
Bill Cartwright picks it up. It's the Bulls with a 2-0 lead. A minute and a half gone by.
Keep an eye on the defensive end. An unusual matchup maybe for some people. Pippen guarding Bill Laimbeer. That's one of the reasons why Chuck Daly may make an early substitution and bring Aguirre back in to make the Bulls pay the price offensively.
Paxson switched off and was able to steal, leading to this. Paxson got caught on a mismatch with Laimbeer and then was able to pick his pocket. Paxson again going for the steal. Edwards recaptured. Dumars and Cartwright on the rebound. Paxson open. John Paxson, a 55% shooter during the regular season, has not been able to get off during the playoffs. He's been bothered by a bruised hip. Here's Grant, and he'll go to the foul line.
The Bulls defense has been sensational the entire season. They have strong, aggressive double teams. Paxson has great hands reaching in, swiping the ball. The steals, forced turnovers lead to easy scores at the other end.
Foul called on Edwards, and Horace Grant to the foul line. Horace has shed the prescription goggles. He did it last Sunday in the game against the 76ers. Dr. David Orth, the Bulls ophthalmologist, said that he's concerned because without the goggles, Horace has zero depth perception. He says under the basket he's fine, but keeping his own stats, the doctor feels that he's missed his last 7 jump shots from beyond 12 feet. Grant says the vision is fine.
After getting quite involved in the program.
He is very stat-oriented. Edwards with the open shot. Good ball movement by the Pistons. It's now the Bulls 5 and the Pistons 2.
And the Pistons have worked, or at least talked about the fact that they will be pressed after free throws, so they're ready to attack at the offensive end.
Grant feeling around for Lambier. Jordan played by Dumas. Jordan with the spin. And Rodman on the rebound. Jordan stealing. And Edwards able to recover.
Keep in mind, this Bull team likes to hang around rebounds at the defensive end for steals and turnovers, and Jordan's the best at it.
Now Dumars played by Pippen. Drive the crossover. And the foul on Pippen. It is a blocking foul. He tried to draw the charge.
Tough call right there. Pippen trying to move his feet, just gets there a little bit late. Remember, he must be established. You can see the contact takes place before he has established a good position defensively.
Now Dumars isolated against Jordan. Edwards, Phil Jackson wanted a push off, did not get the call, and the Pistons able to keep it alive. Detroit, one of its first 4 from the field. Edwards backing Cartwright.
Remember, that's one of the things that the Bulls want to do is try to get Edwards out of the middle, turning towards the baseline on his shots.
Cartwright got possession, and off the contact, Jack Neese says the foul on Edwards. That is the second committed by James Edwards.
At the offensive end of the floor for the Pistons, one of the key things will be boxing out and limiting them to only one shot. Down this end, Edwards with his hand in. Lambier arguing with the officials after the play, saying, hey, look, that was a clean steal or swipe by Edwards. No foul should have been called.
Bill Cartwright. His foul shooting has dropped off this season. The Bulls have gone through some troubled times at the free throw line despite their success in the playoffs. Edwards sits down, and he is replaced by Mark Aguirre, who had an excellent series against the Boston Celtics. He averaged 15 a game, second highest among the Pistons.
This is not unusual now for this quick substitution. It's something that Chuck talked about yesterday. By bringing Aguirre in, it changes the matchups for the Bulls, or at least now the Pistons can go back to an offensive guy down low who feels comfortable posting up in Aguirre as opposed to Lambier.
Jordan with the steal. Jordan will go to the foul line. Well, he knew he was going to get hit. He was ready for the hit and nearly was able to convert on the twister.
Jordan loves to shoot the passing lanes, anticipating the next pass. Obviously, reaching behind right there, and now understanding that it's going to be a physical series. I got to go strong to the rim, try to convert as best I can.
Lambier called for the foul. Phil Jackson telling us at practice yesterday that feels that the Pistons get away with hand-checking tactics and also too much movement on the offensive picks. Also says the Pistons allowed to run through screens to, as he put it, bend defenders. As a result, the screen has lost its presence in the game.
Well, there's no question. They do a little bit of that during the course of the game. But you know what? When you watch the Bulls, they're aggressive defensively also. That's why they're both this far along in the playoffs.
Bulls with an 8-2 lead. And now Jordan is matched on Lambier. And Lambier moves down low.
Yeah, but now will they go to him, and can Bill produce from down low?
Pippen with a behind-the-back maneuver. And off the stutter step, Grant on the rebound.
Both of these teams outstanding offensive rebounding teams. They tied for 4th place in the league this year with offensive rebound percentage.
Jordan. Cartwright to the boards. It's the Bulls 10. And the Pistons 2.
If there may have been some concern that the Pistons were not going to be well rested for this opening game, it's showing here in the beginning. The Bulls out hustling them to the basketball.
Reach-in foul on Horace Grant, and a timeout has been called. The Bulls have come out wired, on fire. They lead 10-2. For the Chicago Bulls, it's been 4 days of rest since they last played when they wiped out Philadelphia on Tuesday night. For the Pistons, different story, a short turnaround, and I talked about that with Chuck Daly.
When you have to play big games like we just played, and winning on the road and turn around alternate days, the emotional is more difficult than the physical. I felt last year when we played Chicago in a 7-game series, after the 7th game, which we played terrific, Portland came in and pretty much almost beat us 2 games, and it wasn't so much physical. We were emotionally drained, obviously physical too, but it's the emotional part, because you get on a high. You have a tendency to celebrate. Unfortunately, the league only allows us to celebrate about 36 hours. Hardly time for a good meal.
Wait a moment. Is Chuck the George Foreman of NBA coaches?
You hear the word meal and you think of Foreman right away.
No, I think of Chuck. Bulls with a 10-2 lead, 6:50 to go in the first quarter. And following the timeout, both clubs have remained the same. Detroit has hit only one of its first 6. Chicago 3 for 9. The Bulls have had the edge off the boards. Aguirre tried to back in. Played well by Grant, but still able to hit.
A good start, and Aguirre wanted to take him down in the low post area, back him into an area where he felt comfortable. On the deflection, he's got to settle for the jumper, but good way to start for Mark.
Bulls 10, and the Pistons 4. Lane Beer went flying, trying to draw the foul, and the Bulls took advantage. Good look from Cartwright, able to find Grant. Lane Beer in the face of the official, Jack Neese.
Cartwright felt he was knocked to the ground, therefore giving up the easy score.
Aguirre with his second bucket. Chicago 12, Detroit 6.
In many of these games where the fatigue factor comes into play, you just need to work your way through that first 8-10 minute stretch. Stay close enough so that you can make it up in the last 3 quarters.
Cartwright, yes. A very fast start for Bill Cartwright. He's 3 for 3 from the field, plus 1 free throw for 7. And the Bulls with a 14-6 lead. Detroit Pistons went 50-32 during an injury-hit regular season. Beat Atlanta in the first round, 3 games to 2, and then defeated Boston in 6. Here's Aguirre, strip. Jump ball indicated, 24-second. Horn went off.
Jess Kersey saying that the jump ball was called before the 24-second buzzer went off.
So they will jump it up.
You've got to be careful with Jordan running from behind you. He loves to come from behind the offensive players for blocks and steals. Here, causing the jump ball.
The Bulls already have come up with 3 steals, and that was nearly number 4, but Aguirre was able to recover. Jake O'Donnell saying do it again. Chicago Bulls finished at 61-21, best record in the history of the club. The 9th team in the history of the league to win 60 games in a season. Again, Jake O'Donnell dissatisfied. Apparently, the Bulls try to steal the tap.
White violation if you break that circle too soon before the ball is released or touched by the people who are jumping. It's a violation.
Rodman will throw in. We approach 5 minutes remaining. First quarter. Dumars wide open off the double team. Yes. Joe Dumars, who comes off a strong offensive performance Friday against the Celtics, although he was exhausted during the overtime session.
To the point that he actually made the substitution himself during the timeout, walked down and said, hey, I'm coming out. Go ahead, Vinny. You and Zeke finishing up here.
Pippen was fouled. Aguirre arguing the call. Scottie Pippen will go to the line. Rodman was called for the foul. That is his first.
And Pippen does a real good job of keeping the dribble alive when he comes off the screen to enable himself to see the opening and then make dribble penetration.
Scottie Pippen, during all the media get-togethers, facing the question time and time again and handling it well. He's had to deal with it. The migraine headache in the 7th game of last season's Eastern Conference Final still haunting Scottie. And as you can see, he's been held in check during the season series by the Pistons. The average just under 16. The Bulls lost at Detroit in the 7th and final game of the Eastern Conference Final a year ago. 93-74 as Pippen went 1 for 10 from the field and had complained of the headache.
I'd like to see most of these small forward statistics that match up against Dennis Rodman during the course of the season. I'd say he does a pretty good job against most guys.
Bulls 16 and the Pistons 8. Thomas with the step and Paxson called for the reach in.
That pressure after the free throw by the Bulls just takes time off the 24-second clock, and they know that the Pistons take a lot of time in the half-court offense. While Isaiah makes the move here, there are only 8 seconds left on the 24-second clock. Not a lot of time to throw a lot of extra passes.
Bill Laimbeer gets the treatment from the crowd as he departs. John Sally has come on for the first time with 4:25 remaining in the first. Thomas putting the move on Paxson and called for a travel.
And that was caused due to Michael Jordan playing the passing lane. Isaiah was waiting for Dumars to go backdoor behind Jordan. Keep an eye as Jordan kind of plays in between his defensive man, faking the pass. And right there, he's waiting for Dumars to go behind them. Doesn't get there quick enough.
Jordan setting the screen. And it's called on the Bulls. The outside of... Oh, there. Dennis Rodman upset and then is escorted aside. And Jordan and Aguirre have some words. And things becoming testy. Michael Jordan picking up his first.
And Michael Jordan is not going to back down from anyone right now. He's the leader for that team. He understands what to expect during the series. He's going to hold his ground, make a statement.
Bulls 16, Pistons 8. Thomas from deep. Good play by Aguirre. Deflecting it off Jordan. Mark Aguirre, a native of Chicago. And he is very much into it with Chicago's favorite athlete, Michael Jordan.
There's two guys hustling after the ball, trying to keep him in play.
Sally. Good play by Pippen on a double-up. And Jordan was able to deflect it away.
The difference between the Bulls double teams and a lot of other teams is the aggressiveness. They're strong, tight, aggressive.
Yes, and it counts. The foul committed by John Sally, and a lot of conversation taking place on the court.
This is the most I've ever seen Michael Jordan talk to the opposition during the course of the game. I think Ahmad mentioned it before the game. He's never seen him as focused as he is for this one. He wants to take that next step along with this franchise.
The Bulls 18 and the Pistons 8. Had to save it. Another steal by Jordan, putting the move on Dumars. Detroit will talk it over. Well, it was anticipated that this would be a physical series, and Michael Jordan told us prior to the game that he's wary of Detroit's tactics.
what they portrayed 2 years ago and been very successful doing that is a little dirty plays and the roughness that they try to intimidate teams. And they've been very successful with it, and now other teams are trying to do that to see if they can get success from it. So I think it has dirtied the game of basketball, but still basketball's got to be played. And I'm not going to complain about it. I still got to go out and play, but I got to at least have an eye opening for different types of dirty play that I may face.
Of course, the Pistons have a different point of view concerning what Michael Jordan just turned it over, referred to as dirty play.
That's their style. They're a physical team. They get after you defensively, and they kind of enjoy the fact that they have people talking and thinking about it a lot.
Well, here are the Chicago Bulls off to a 20-8 lead. 2.5 remaining in the first quarter. And the outside official, Jess Kersey, calling it against the Bulls. Scottie Pippen picking up the foul.
A lot of baseline screens, baseline action taking place. Sally trying to keep the hands off. Pippen trying to maintain contact. Referee Jess Kersey trying to clean up the play right in the beginning of this game.
Mike, you get the idea that the Bulls, watching the Portland Laker game yesterday, very concerned about getting off quickly in their own building?
No question. They watched that game. They understand what happened in the first one as Aguirre faces up and knocks out another jumper. They understand that right away Portland has put themselves in a hole. They don't want to lose home court advantage here.
What a spectacular effort by Magic Johnson. Not in the scoring column, but he can do it in other ways. 21 assists for the Magic Man against the Trailblazers, and that comes from behind victory. The Bulls 20 and the Pistons 10 with just under 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Chicago has done it with 5 steals. Aguirre for 3, and he has single-handedly kept the Bulls from running away here in the first quarter.
Well, he did it in the Boston series as well. They needed a big game from him. He produced. He's that kind of a scorer. That's why Chuck Daly goes with him for stretches.
Aguirre has hit 4 out of 5. He has 9 points in a limited amount of minutes.
The kind of team that Detroit is, they'll continue to go at that same guy as long as he has the hot hand. See if they can get it back to Aguirre.
Vinny Johnson, who just checked in, had that shot deflected.
If Vinny would have had a little more patience, he had the switch. Paxson was on Aguirre. He just got it up a little too soon.
Pretty look. Michael Jordan to Bill Cartwright. Cartwright leading the Bulls with 9. Jordan has 8. The Bulls 22. The Pistons 13 with just a shade under 1 minute remaining in the first. Cliff Livingston getting set to come on for Chicago. Down to 6 on the 24. Dumars for 3. Rodman contested. And Jack Neese says last touch by Rodman.
Well, one of the strengths of Dennis Rodman is the ability to keep it alive until he goes after it. And a great call by Neese. His right foot definitely out of bounds.
Picked off Dumars. Sally able to switch off on Jordan. And the officials confirm Chicago will maintain possession with 9 on the 24.
We asked Chuck Daly yesterday, are the Jordan rules in effect for the series? And he said, you know, I'm not so sure that the Jordan rules aren't obsolete by now because their other players now have stepped up their game and are producing for him.
Paxson. And he continues to have his difficulties. 0 for 3, but Cliff Livingston, who just checked in, able to convert, and the Bulls now lead it 24-13.
That's one of the reasons they picked up a Livingston. When they wanted to sit Pippen, they would have another active guy in on the glass to do a lot of the dirty work and pick up those loose balls. Cliff Livingston can do that for him.
Sally, offensive foul. That is the second for Sally.
The thing that has probably taken the Bulls team to the next level, gotten them into the 60-win category, is the fact that they have become a consistently outstanding defensive team. Good position defense. They force turnovers. They make things happen. They kind of dictate the tempo of the game through their defense.
Livingston sitting down. Craig Hodges has come on. Paxson from downtown has this first quarter comes to a close. After one in Chicago, it's the Bulls 24 and the Pistons 13.
Welcome back to the stadium. I'm Ahmad Rashad. During this last break, Coach Bill Jackson told his team he was very happy with that emotional spurt they had, led by Michael Jordan, but now he wants the team to settle down, get back into their offense, and keep playing tough defense. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, 24-13. The Bulls with a fast start on the Pistons. Coming up at halftime, we'll have coverage of the NBA Draft Lottery. Do you realize how much that man has done for the Minnesota North Stars of the National Hockey League? He turned the franchise around at the lottery a year ago. NBA Commissioner David Eastrern substituting North Stars for two Wolves. And they have gone on to the final round.
Does he get a playoff share from the North Stars?
I'm sure the commissioner will make the request. Loose ball foul on Lane Beer. Lane Beer and Purdue going for the basketball. Will Purdue has come on for the first time, as has B.J. Armstrong.
Two things that jump out at you at the end of the first quarter. Second chance point, something that Detroit usually is very, very big on. 0 for Detroit, 4 for Chicago. But points in the paint where the Pistons usually intimidate opponents. 16 for Chicago, zip for Detroit.
Lane Beer sitting down. Edwards is back. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from Chicago. Purdue for Livingston. Good ball movement. Hodges through the air ball. And a pushing foul called on Livingston, so Detroit will take over. Thomas and Johnson now in the backcourt. Rodman, Edwards, and the red-hot Aguirre up front. Mark Aguirre hit 4 out of 5 in the first quarter for 9 points. Johnson with the open shot. Yes, Vinnie Johnson, who is playing hurt, has a shin problem. Able to hit on his first field goal. Bulls lead by 9.
Well, Chuck Daly has 2 players on the floor for him right now who have the ability to explode at any time. One, Vinnie Johnson, the other, Mark Aguirre.
Shot clock at 5. Livingston. And back come the Pistons. The double team on Johnson, who got it to Aguirre. Rodman with the tip, and the basket counts. It's a goaltend.
Just Kersey felt that that ball, as it was bouncing up there, was still in the cylinder. You reach up and take it out of the cylinder, off that rim, then it's a good 2 points. Here it is, bouncing, and it still had a chance to go in. A good call.
Dennis Rodman receiving credit for his first field goal. Bulls 24, and the Pistons 17. After the slow start, the Pistons now showing signs. Urging Purdue to shoot, and he does. Purdue lost the handle, fired a brick. Livingston able to get to it again.
Cliff Livingston doing what he does best, getting all that loose stuff, keeping it alive for his teammates, play good defense at the other end.
Took a shot from Rodman. Cliff Livingston, a one-time member of the Detroit Pistons. Very active off the boards, doing a nice job. When we come back, it will be Livingston to the foul line. 2.5 gone by in the second.
No, don't even. Brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade for that deep down body thirst. And by IBM. How you're going to do it? PS to it. Miller Genuine Draft presents #1 Draft Choices.
Today's Miller #1 draft pick is John Paxson of the Bulls. He was originally a #1 selection of the San Antonio Spurs back in 1983. Signed as a free agent with the Bulls in '85, and this season he was the top shooting guard in the league, hitting 55% from the field. A reminder, at the end of today's broadcast, we'll select the Miller Genuine Draft Player of the Game. It is Chicago ball as we resume following the timeout. The officials saying that Livingston was pushed before the shot attempt, so the non-shooting foul. The Bulls 0 for 5 to this point here in the second quarter.
Sometimes a telltale sign, as Will Purdue turns, faces up, and knocks it down. A telltale sign of fatigue is fouls. You don't move your feet quite as well. You're a little bit slow getting to loose balls. Right now, Detroit has 4 players already with 2 fouls each on them.
Bulls 26, Pistons 17. McGuire working off a double team, stopped by Purdue. Armstrong for Hodges. Yes. Greg Hodges has caught fire during the playoffs, in particular from three-point range.
But it all started really with poor shot selection by Mark McGuire. That time in the middle of a double and almost triple team. The ball should have come out of there, swing it to the weak side.
Vinnie Johnson. So Vinnie off the bench to hit 2 out of 3. Chicago 28 and Detroit 19. 3.5 gone by in the second. Hodges and Armstrong now work the backcourt. Livingston up front with Grant, Purdue. Sally got entangled with Grant. Edwards backing Purdue. And Grant gets to it. Oh, what a pass. Livingston from Armstrong. And Cliff Livingston, who has been quiet most of the season, making a major contribution here in the first half.
Livingston is so comfortable running the middle of the floor in transition. He did it for years in Atlanta. He likes to get down that low post area. He feels good down low offensively.
Vinnie Johnson with his 3rd field goal. The Bulls lead it by 9. Grant trying to establish position on Sally. Purdue working outside now. Armstrong feeding Grant. Armstrong able to get it back and hit by Sally.
3 fouls on John Sally, and that's a big factor. Sally has had an outstanding playoff series. His defense has always been consistent for the Pistons, but offensively, he's really stepped up in the playoffs.
Scottie Pippen has returned, and Horace Grant heard it from the crowd. John Sally is sitting down, and Chuck Daly has to go now deep into his bench for William Bedford, who has not been seeing much action during the playoffs. He did get some work as a starter, what with all the injuries suffered by the Pistons. William Bedford, in his 4th year out of Memphis State, has checked in. And now Livingston. Here's the applause. Cliff Livingston with a big job off the boards and hit 2 out of 3 from the field. And Scott Williams, the rookie free agent out of North Carolina, has checked in. So Phil Jackson going deep into his bench.
And Jackson giving everybody a little taste of the action here in the first half of what is going to be a very important, obviously a big playoff series for them, getting everybody a little comfortable with what it's all about out there.
Johnson got the step, and Williams on the rebound. Pippen, last touched by Williams. Scott Williams signed as a free agent. He's the only rookie on the Bulls roster. Timeout has been taken. 6:49 remaining in the first half. Seeking a 3rd straight NBA crown, looking to become the 3rd team to do it, to join the Lakers and the Celtics. And we talked about the Pistons' quest with Isaiah.
Well, it would be a hell of an accomplishment. You know, when I first came into the league, I only wanted to win 1 championship. But to get everything out of yourself, to get everything out of your body, out of your skills, you know, it's physically and mentally draining. I think to win a 3rd championship, it's probably going to cost me some health.
Yes, Yes, Isaiah banged up, wrist, hamstring, ankle. He's been quiet thus far today. Took only one shot, did not hit it. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Isaiah Thomas sitting down as Joe Dumars has returned. Pushing foul against the Bulls. It's on Purdue.
Well, down low inside, when the respect factor comes into play, Will Purdue is just not going to get the whistle against the James Edwards, who has been around for so long, been an established player, doing it for years and years at the offensive end.
Michael Jordan has returned. He's guarding the spinning Vinnie Johnson. Johnson and Dumars in the backcourt. Edwards, Bedford, and Aguirre up front. And Vinnie Johnson has 8 points. The Bulls 31 and the Pistons 23.
Nice move by James Edwards, just stepping out and giving Vinnie a little screen to operate, just knocking Jordan free for a second.
Bulls have Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Scott Williams with the ball up front with Purdue and Pippen. Shot clock at 5. Here's Pippen. He's able to follow, so the Bulls lead by 10. Scottie Pippen with his first field goal. Well, the bench has certainly done the job, led by Aguirre and Johnson. And that has been the storyline for Detroit over the years. Vinnie Johnson again. He's on fire. He's hit 5 out of 7.
And that's where the Pistons are so smart. They saw that B.J. Armstrong was matched up against Vinnie. They got it right to him.
Scott Williams getting excellent position, and then he drew the foul. It's called on Bedford.
If you're going to continue to let teams catch the ball right in front of the rim, then obviously they're going to either shoot very high from the floor or they're going to get their share of free throws at the foul line. You just can't let people establish position in the lane that way.
Scott Williams to the line only 28 times during the regular season. 20 for 28, 71%. He played only 51 games for the most part in a mop-up role. Only 337 minutes. Phil Jackson, though, feels that down the line, Scott Williams will play a major role for the Chicago Bulls.
This has to be a tremendous boost for his confidence to get put into the first game of this series, the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons. It makes him want to work just a little bit harder, and then there's some reward there.
Edwards rejected by Williams. Here's Pippen. Will Purdue on the follow, and the Bulls have a 10-point lead. And Chuck Daly will insert Scott Hastings in just a moment. John Sally on the bench with 3 fouls. Here's Aguirre. Mark Aguirre has hit 5 out of 8. He has 11. Bulls by 8.
Well, right now, what Chuck Daly is trying to do is get some beef, get some strength back out on the floor. The team out there now is not a real good rebounding team for the Pistons, and obviously the Bulls are taking advantage of it.
Jordan. And the loose ball foul being called by Jess Kersey. It's on Williams.
Scott Williams is so pumped up that he sees his teammate needs a little help, decides to rotate over, get a piece of it to start the fast break for the Bulls.
And Scott Williams, will Purdue hear it from the Chicago crowd as they sit down. Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant return. John Paxson is back, so Phil Jackson now has his starting unit on the floor, while Chuck Daly going with the combination of Dumars and Johnson. In the backcourt, Lane Beer has returned. He's up front now with Rodman and Hastings. Vinnie Johnson. Bill Lane Beer on the putback. Lane Beer rejected by Pippen. Johnson, yes.
And just when it seems like Chicago is controlling the glass, Chuck Daly makes a couple substitutions. They get a couple shots back at the rim, eventually a score.
Bulls with a 6-point lead. Jordan hit from behind by Dumars.
I think Chuck Daly got the feel that Michael Jordan came out early in this game, was going to establish himself. So what they've done now is when Jordan touches the ball, they run the next defensive player at him right away, get the ball out of his hands, make someone else do it for the Bulls.
Michael Jordan, 2 out of 3 from the line. The Bulls 7 for 13 from the line. The next time the Pistons go to the foul line will be their first.
I'm sure Chuck Daly won't say a word about that.
Well, tomorrow there will be a news conference here in Chicago tomorrow afternoon at 2, and it is expected that Michael Jordan will be named the NBA's most valuable player. It would be his second MVP award. He won it back in '87, '88 when he averaged 35 points a game, and the Bulls went 50 and 32 after going 2 under 500 the previous season, and then they were eliminated from the playoffs in 5 in the conference semis by Detroit. Down to 3:40 left, first half. Johnson on the follow. Yes, Vinnie Johnson with 14 points.
Vinnie Johnson for years has been one of the best offensive rebounding guards in the NBA. His momentum when he shoots the ball carries him towards the basket. He likes to follow up his own shot.
And the call away from the ball. Scott Hastings collects his first. It puts the Pistons over the limit.
Chuck Daly inserted Scott Hastings into the Celtic series. Surprised some people, but Chuck said Scott Hastings is the kind of guy that you can trust. He knows he's not going to make a lot of crazy things happen out there. He's kind of solid, knows what his job is, his role is, goes out and does it.
And he can give you that nice little one-hand flip from the seat of his pants, as we saw in the previous series.
And only Scott Hastings could think of telling the referee as he's sitting on the floor shooting the ball that he thought it was a goaltend.
Foul line violation has been called on the Pistons.
Keep an eye, Scott Hastings in there before Cartwright released the basketball. The officials will give Bill Cartwright another free throw attempt. But if you looked at the shot, Cartwright is the one who kind of made it happen by holding the ball at the top of his shot. The little fake action.
A little Harlem Globetrotter maneuver, and still misses on his second attempt. Bulls with a 38-31 lead. Cartwright being played by Hastings. One-time teammates as members of the New York Knicks. Shot clock at 10. Jordan played well by Dumars. Shot clock at 5. And it will be Detroit ball.
Even though Detroit has struggled offensively here in the first half, it's their team defense that keeps the Bulls still close enough. Only 7-point down right now. They should be happy with that.
Lane Beer is 0 for 4. He did regain the touch in game number 5 against Boston. Lane Beer just hit the deck, and a foul has been called. Pistons also take a timeout. Vinnie Johnson was called for the foul. 2:40 left, first half.
York at the scene of the NBA draft lottery. Will bring you the lottery at halftime of the Bulls-Pistons game. The 11 teams that did not make the playoffs this year have a shot at a top pick. With the weighted system used by the NBA, the Denver Nuggets, who have the worst record in the league, have a 1 in 6 chance at the top pick overall. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who came closest to making the playoffs without making it, the 11th worst record in the league, would have 1 shot in 66 at the number 1 pick. We'll see you back here at halftime. In the meantime, back to Marv and Mike in Chicago.
Thank you, Bob. 2:40 remaining in this first half, and the Bulls lead the Pistons by 7.
I think it's easy to get away from Dennis Rodman. He figures if he doesn't let Scottie Pippen rather catch the basketball, then he's not going to score on him.
And Scottie Pippen head-to-head with Dennis Rodman has certainly been effective.
Why am I getting confused saying Scottie and Dennis?
I think it's catching up, Mike. As you saw today's stats, a 1 for 6 registered from the field by Pippen. He now has 5 points. The Bulls 40 and the Pistons 31. And here's light pressure being shown by Chicago. From time to time they will go to pressure. They'll go to the trap. We've seen very little of it thus far in the first half. Now Vinnie Johnson guarded by Michael Jordan. Scott Hastings trying to pick him off. Shot clock at 3. Here's Johnson. Jordan got a piece of it. Dumars keeps it alive.
Second chance opportunities, one of the key things that Phil Jackson was stressing to this team. Limit them to one shot and one shot only. Don't let the guards hurt us on the glass.
Well, Dumars has been quiet. 1 for 4 from the field. Isaiah Thomas has not scored. Here is Dumars. Yes. Joe Dumars from long range. And the Bulls now lead by 7.
That's tough to let Michael Jordan guard you straight up and expect to continue to make jump shots over the top. Eventually, it will catch up to you.
Caught right. Had the shot, but Laimbeer able to recover. Here's Jordan. Yes. Michael Jordan is 4 out of 8. He has 12. It's been a balanced attack by the Chicago Bulls.
Other players have stepped up and done the job for him. Jordan has not had to try and take over the game by himself.
And at 20 remaining in this first half. And a chant of defense from the crowd. Dumars with the nice dribble penetration. Took a shot in the far head. And we'll go to the...
And then if his teammates can keep their spacing, he'll be able to find people for open jump shots. Taking it strong to the basket, a key for Dumars. Free throw attempt so important to the Pistons being able to score enough points here.
And this is the first time that they've gone to the foul line. Michael Jordan called for the foul, his second. 5 points for Joe Dumars. The Bulls 42 and the Pistons 35 as we come up on 1 minute remaining in this first half. Game 2 will take place here in Chicago on Tuesday. Jordan sweeping through. And then the scene shifts to Pontiac for Game 3 next Saturday afternoon on NBC. Game 4 in Pontiac next Monday afternoon. Memorial Day, May 27th, a week from tomorrow. That also will be televised on NBC. Dumars again from deep. Caught right on the rebound. And Rodman and Jordan going at each other. Foul on Rodman. His third. This has been brewing throughout the first half. Michael Jordan just gave Rodman a little tap as if to say, let's forget about it. All right, Jordan on the drive just a moment ago, and this is what took place. They continued talking as they headed back down court. And then Jordan and Rodman got physical with each other. Michael in the face of Dennis, the official Jack Neese, able to keep them away. Cliff Levingston checking back in. Dennis Rodman will sit down. Isaiah Thomas has returned, and Michael Jordan has 2 shots. So things have been on the testy side here in the first half. Coming up at halftime, we'll have coverage of the NBA Draft Lottery for the right to choose first in the upcoming collegiate draft. That is just ahead at halftime. 38 and 7/10 seconds remaining in the first half. And Jordan has given the Bulls a 45-35 lead. Light pressure being employed. Bulls have led right throughout. At one point, they led 20-8. That's their biggest margin. Vinnie Johnson, Grant stepping out and got a piece of it. Grant had switched off and was able to deflect it. And they are on their feet, cheering the Bulls on these final seconds of the first half. Jordan lost it. And here's Aguirre racing the clock. Mark Aguirre cuts it to 8, and time runs out in the first half. That would count. Paxson got it off, and that's the end of the first half. Game 1 of the best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. Michael Jordan with 15 points. Bill Cartwright has 10. Vinnie Johnson and Mark Aguirre off the bench to spark Detroit. Johnson with 14. Aguirre with 13. Coming up, Bob and Pat will be back.
Prudential and Bill.
Lead over the Pistons, and checking the stat sheet, the Detroit starters in the first half only 4 for 17 from the floor. Are they still feeling the after effects of the series against the Boston Celtics?
I would say, yeah, it was a very grueling series. It had its effects on them. Fortunately, they only picked up 10 points from the starters, but 27 points from 2 guys off the bench, Vinnie Johnson, Mark Aguirre. That's why people consider their bench so tough in the end.
Yes, both on fire in the first half. Vinnie Johnson with the hot hand, 7 for 13 from the field for 14 points. Pistons shot only 44%, and the Bulls 43%. And Detroit very unhappy in that they went to the line only twice in that first half, while the Bulls 13 for 21 from the free throw line. Both clubs back on the court, getting ready for the second half. We'll return in a moment. 187th consecutive sellout. Michael Jordan with 15 points, but Isaiah Thomas 0 for 1. A very low-key first half, and we were speculating, wondering whether there is anything wrong physically with Isaiah Thomas. Ahmad was able to check it out at the Detroit bench. What'd you find out?
All right, Marv, I talked to Isaiah. There's nothing wrong with him. He hopes to get in the flow the second half. He's only taken 1 shot in the first half, but he's fine physically.
Ahmad taking a shot from Jake O'Donnell. And Ahmad had position, it should be pointed out. Third quarter underway. Thomas and Dumars at the guards. Rodman with Edwards and Laimbeer up front. Edwards with the fadeaway. Rodman on the rebound. And the foul called on Cartwright.
I'm sure Chuck Daly mentioned at halftime the fact that the #1 rebounding team in the NBA, the Pistons, were out-rebounded that first half, 24-13 by the Bulls.
Here's Thomas. Yes. Isaiah with his first field goal. So the Bulls with a 45-39 lead. At one point, Chicago led by 12. They opened up 20-8. Rodman able to knock it away. Dennis Rodman, so unique according to Chuck Daly, because all he wants to do is defend and rebound. And he's been doing that. Edwards with a good play, tying up Jordan.
Edwards thought it was a steal. Jake O'Donnell said, wait a minute, he put the ball in your hands. That's a jump ball. Good double team by the Pistons. We mentioned earlier in the game, they're going after Jordan right away with the next closest defensive player to force him to give it up.
And as you mentioned earlier, the Pistons going away from what they call the Jordan rules. Jordan rules designed to double and triple Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas not able to hit. Rebounded by Cartwright. And Thomas stole it. And it's a backcourt violation. Edwards in the backcourt and then jumped over.
After Isaiah Thomas stole the basketball, he came back down, inbounds. This is now the front court. He's established position. This is now the backcourt on James Edwards.
You have heard from time to time the reference to the Jordan rules designed to double and triple up on Michael Jordan, challenging the other Bulls to beat them as Pippen was able to hit for his second field goal. The Jordan rules basically show lack of respect for Jordan's teammates. In effect, the Pistons would show lack of respect for the shooting touch of the other players, but they feel that has changed. Illegal defense now called for the first time.
Well, in the past, what the Pistons would say is, look, Michael Jordan is capable of getting 50, 60 points on given nights. Make the other players step up and have to make big shots with a lot of pressure on them. But now Chuck Daly says the problem is those other players have done it the entire season for him.
Thomas looking to get back into it offensively was blocked. Pippen changed his mind. Paxson ran, and he Thomas foul. Lambier does not like the call. And Jake O'Donnell quick to rush over to cut off Horace Grant, who was about to go at one of the Pistons. Lambier picked up his third.
Well, the Pistons have come out in the second half, obviously more aggressive. They know they've got to do a better job on the glass. And Grant doesn't like the contact there by Pippen after the whistle, so he decides to go after him. Little elbow, right elbow there by Dennis Rodman.
Horace Grant been very quiet today. 1 for 1 for the field. And now 2 out of 3 from the foul line. Horace came up very strong last Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. This after he took some abuse on Friday night over the bench. Phil Jackson felt that Horace should have been more aggressive against the Sixers in the game on Friday night. And Sunday afternoon he did turn it around in that department. Lambier. Triple bump by Lambier.
You know, we mentioned earlier that Scottie Pippen was only 1 for 10 in Game 7 last year of the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, I'm sure Grant remembers also. He was 3 for 17 in that game as well. The two forwards really struggled in that big game.
And that is a reach-in on Lambier. Very theatrical in his reaction, and fortunate that a technical foul was not called as he picks up his 4th.
That's the 3rd time so far this game that Bill Lambier has had some type of reaction towards Jackie Neese. The next one, I'd say it's going to cost him a technical.
Mark Aguirre getting set to return. And Pippen called for a charge. That's 3 on Pippen. And Scottie Pippen with words at the official Jess Kersey. A lot of debating of calls going on throughout this contest. Thomas able to hit and a foul. Isaiah Thomas will go to the line. Michael Jordan called for his 3rd. And Isaiah now getting into it offensively.
Changing up rather than stay with the perimeter game. The outside shot, he decides to take it to the basket. Opportunity here to complete the 3-point play.
5 points for Isaiah, and the Pistons are within 5. Seven on the shot clock. Here's Cartwright. Good play by Thomas, getting it over to Aguirre.
Isaiah Thomas came from the backcourt that time to keep that alive and get it to his teammate.
Foul called on Thomas. Try to put the brakes on and slam into Paxson. But a rough go recently, physically, for John Paxson, involved in a collision during practice with guess who? Bill Cartwright the other day. In fact, Paxson told us he will get Cartwright in some manner. And he's had a bruised hip. Good fake by Pippen. But he is now 2 for 8.
And he had Rodman in the air that time. A tremendous recovery by Rodman to avoid the contact.
Art Dwyer off the bench to convert. 7 for 10. He has 15.
And it was a real good substitution by Chuck Daly, getting Lambier out of there at a time where maybe he was a little frustrated, had the officials looking at him a little bit too close.
Scottie Pippen going glass. He has 10. The Bulls 51. The Pistons 46. And things beginning to heat up here in the 3rd quarter. Aguirre had it knocked away by Pippen. Scottie Pippen able to soar over Isaiah Thomas, but could not hit. Aguirre from downtown. Grant from Paxson.
turnaround right there. The Pistons had numbers on the fast break. Isaiah elected to go back out with the pass, try and hit Aguirre for the three-pointer. Instead, a conversion by the Bulls at the other end.
Bulls by 7. Dumars for 3, yes. Joe Dumars with his 15th three-pointer of the playoffs. He had only 14 during the regular season. It is a 4-point Chicago lead. Cartwright changed his mind, but he went up and down. Left his feet.
Cartwright starts to take the jumper, but Edwards challenges, flies at it. Cartwright picks up that right foot, which was the pivot foot, resulting travel.
Bulls 53, Pistons 49. We'll be back in Chicago in a moment.
Do for me. By Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. And by Bugle Boy Company. Because any closet without Bugle Boy is an empty closet.
6:50 to go in the third. Bulls with a 4-point lead on the Pistons. Scottie Pippen thus far only 3 for 10 from the field for 10 points. So always has a difficult matchup with Dennis Rodman. We talked with Scottie and asked what does he try to do against Rodman.
Well, we're giving him credit, he's a good defensive player. He's real quick on his feet. He has good lateral movement, and that's allowed him to be a good defensive player. I think he's established himself throughout the league with the referees of being able to play with his hands and allowing him to catch up with you even if you beat him one step, and that slows you down when a guy can grab you and step in front of you, and he's able to flock to the floor and get the calls. And he's established himself as a good defensive player by doing that.
Well, Scottie Pippen claiming that Dennis Rodman uses the very strong hand check on him, among other tactics which have kept Scottie in check over the years. I don't think it's only the strong hand check, though.
No, there's a definite intimidation there by Rodman, but it happens to a lot of players.
Bulls by 4 as we come up on 6 minutes to go in this third quarter. Aguirre getting inside. Here's Jordan, way off. He thought he was fouled.
Phil Jackson thought he was fouled. Michael Jordan thought he was fouled. But the Pistons said absolutely no foul.
A moment ago, Jake O'Donnell went over to the Detroit bench. Apparently not happy with some of the screaming coming from the end of the bench and gave a warning, did not call the technical. Cartwright picked up that foul.
Well, the Pistons were reminding Jake O'Donnell that the free throws were 21-2 at the end of the first half. They feel they should be getting their share of the free throw attempts. It's not easy coming across the lane. Nobody lets you run where you want to, particularly in the playoffs.
Edwards off the double team, got it out. Aguirre with a three-pointer. That is his second from downtown. He has had another sensational shooting performance. 18 for Aguirre, and the Pistons are within 1 point. Here's Jordan. Michael Jordan now 5 for 11. The call against the Bulls.
That last three-point shot brings up an interesting point about this Piston team. Last year in the regular season, they averaged 6.5 a game. When they got to the playoffs, they upped it to 8.5 attempts per game from the three-point line. This year, 5.5 going into the playoffs. In the playoffs, 9.5 so far.
Edwards. Yes, off the roll. Detroit has taken a 1-point lead. The Pistons 54. The Bulls 53 off a 15-4 run. And Jake O'Donnell calling it away from the ball against the Pistons. It's on Aguirre. The Chicago Bulls have won 13 straight home playoff games. As you take a look at the pushing by Mark Aguirre. In last year's conference final, the Bulls won all 3 games in Chicago, lost all 4 in Detroit. Cartwright, yes, and the Bulls recapture the lead. This season, Chicago has the deciding 7th game by virtue of their 61-21 regular season record. Pippen trying to draw the foul, no call. Aguirre for 3, and Grant for the rebound.
As you continue to watch Detroit double team Michael Jordan, keep an eye in the middle of the lane. That's where they found people in that Philly series. In each game, wide open for layups.
Pippen off the steal. Pippen, yes, and it counts. The foul on James Edwards. That's his 3rd. .351 remaining. 3rd quarter, Chicago by 3, and they are back at the line.
Pippen anticipating the outlet pass, takes it to the basket. Edwards losing his footing on the way down, falls into Pippen on the score.
Now, apparently the foul away from the ball, so the basket counts, and Grant will go to the free throw line. So it is a 3-point play, and the Bulls lead at 58-54. Thomas and Dumars in the backcourt. Rodman, Aguirre, Edwards up front. Aguirre posting up Paxson, who tries to punch the ball away. He will not get the call on the continuation. The basket does not count, but a foul on Paxson, his 2nd.
If they continue to switch at the defensive end, this is the mismatch you're going to have. Mark Aguirre being guarded by Paxson. They need to double quickly, get the ball back out of Aguirre's hands. He's too strong down low.
Both clubs over the limit. Well, Mark Aguirre and Coach Chuck Daly have certainly had a number of screaming matches past couple of years. Aguirre and some teammates haven't always seen eye to eye. There has been talk that he might be traded, but he has come up solid in the playoffs. Perhaps the most responsible for beating the Boston Celtics.
Toughest thing to do, find guys who can score points in the playoffs when the defense is so much better. That's what Mark Aguirre can do, is score points and score them in bunches. You go back to his Dallas days, Maverick days, high 20s, 30-point average during a number of seasons.
Aguirre for 3, yes! The Pistons lead it 59-58. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan has been very quiet. He's missed his last 4 attempts. Pippen, yes, and it counts. A gorgeous setup from Bill Cartwright.
Part of the Bulls' offense is to break down pressure defenses. Whenever their people are overplayed, they flash and go backdoor. Executed so well that time.
Foul called on Edwards. He has 4. Timeout taken. We'll be right back. 15 for 23 points. He's averaging better than 15 per game during the course of the playoff series. Mark Aguirre out of the Windy City. In his 10th year, played his college basketball at DePaul. This is 3rd season with Detroit. As you mentioned, Mike acquired from Dallas, that in the deal for Adrian Dantley.
We'll see if Pippen makes this free throw attempt. If the Bulls go back to their full court pressure, trying to get Detroit out of the rhythm that they've established here offensively.
And John Sally has returned after picking up his 3rd foul in the 2nd quarter. He has been sitting. 4 fouls apiece on Laimbeer and Edwards, 3 on Rodman, 3 on Sally. Off the turnover. The Bulls get it back.
That's the 3rd time that Scottie Pippen has knocked the ball away from Mark Aguirre from behind as Aguirre tries to back him down. He's got to do a better job of protecting the basketball.
The Chicago foul rundown, 3 apiece on Pippen, Jordan, and Cartwright. 5 on the shot clock. Here's Pippen wide open. Yes. Scottie Pippen has come on in this third quarter. He now has 16 points.
Breakdown in communication that time. The Pistons should have switched out. Sally never got the call until too late. A wide open Pippen for the shot.
Bulls lead it 62-59. Just under 2 minutes left in the third. Pippen stepping out. It will be Detroit ball with 6 on the 24.
Pippen knows that if he lets Aguirre get him down too low, he's in trouble, so he keeps reaching behind for the flick. That's the third one he's knocked away this game.
Pistons have to pump it. Isaiah does, and hits off glass again.
Hey, he played it that way against Boston. Did it again today.
Did he call glass?
Call glass, yeah. Call glass.
The game tied at 62. Isaiah with his first today from downtown. He now has 8. Here's Jordan, and he's stripped. Aguirre with Paxson and Pippen racing down, and Pippen back for the reject. Thomas fires through the air ball. Aguirre stopped by Jordan.
What a series of plays at both ends of the floor. Defense, offense, defense.
Shot clock is at 5. Aguirre isolated, ripped by Pippen, is rejected, but it will count. No, it won't count. 24-second violation.
Just a tremendous series of defensive plays at both ends of the floor. The block shot by Pippen. Thomas says, I'm going to tee it up right away with a three-point shot, try to break their spirit right here. Instead, it winds up being an air ball pass, but then the next block shot.
And at center court, the officials conferring. They're waving the players away. Detroit wanted a goaltend. The ruling was 24-second violation. And Jess Kersey, Jake O'Donnell, and Jack Neese are discussing it. And the call stays 24-second violation. No goaltend.
The 24-second buzzer had gone off. There's no shot attempt. Cannot be a goaltend.
Just under 1 minute remaining in the third. Pistons have done a terrific job on Jordan. Cartwright, yes. 14 for Cartwright. It's the Bulls 64 and the Pistons 62.
Back to the old philosophy. Someone else is going to have to make the shots against the Pistons.
And Thomas will be sent to the free throw line. Foul on Paxson. That's 3 on John Paxson.
Keep an eye if that clock is at 0 right there before the ball is released. Right there, that ball was out of his hands before it hit 0-0. That was a good shot attempt that time by Mark Aguirre.
So it should have been a goaltend.
Well, the goaltend is still questioning whether or not the ball was on its way up or not. But the shot attempt was out of his hands before 0-0.
In effect, if it were a goaltend, it would go down as a goaltend. That's another judgment.
The ball has been released. By the time it says 0-0, you can see the one still up there, and that ball is clearly out of his hands. That buzzer had not gone off.
Thomas hits 1 of 2 from the line, and the Bulls lead by 1 with 40 seconds to go in the third. Game 1 of the best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. Here's Pippen. He got the step. It counts. The officials conferring again. One indication was the basket counts, and the other was no basket. It is called no basket, a non-shooting foul, the foul on Rodman.
And from the time that Pippen brought the ball up the floor, the rest of the Bulls looked at him, nodded, and said, take him off the dribble, see if you can put another foul on him. This was by design the entire way up the floor.
Pippen was set to throw it in, and now he's being told that Detroit is over the limit, so he'll go to the line. He did not get the call on the continuation, so that wiped out the potential three-point play. Instead, Pippen on the line for 2 shots. He's 5 for 6 from the foul line. He has 17 points, and Chicago leads by 2. Scottie Pippen with an enormous third quarter. The Bulls 66 and the Pistons 63. Half-minute remaining in the third. Shot clock at 10. And was hit. Once again, Isaiah to the line. Pippen called for his fourth.
Frequently during the course of the game, the Pistons will invert the responsibilities of the guards. Dumars will run the show from the outside. Thomas will go down along the baseline and receive a lot of the screens. They put Thomas in the scorer's role, Dumars in the role of the decision maker. Run the show type guy.
So Pippen with 4, 3 apiece on Cartwright and Jordan. Isaiah Thomas, following the quiet first half, has turned it up, looking more active here in the third quarter.
And the big thing now, little by little, the Pistons chipping away at the free throw line, still being outscored by 19 points from the foul line.
And Scottie Pippen hears the applause, sits down. Craig Hodges has come on. 1 point Chicago lead. Pippen departs with 18 points. Michael Jordan scoreless thus far in the third. Armstrong with the fake and the bucket. Bulls by 3. Final seconds of the third. Sally fires. And time has run out. After 3 here in Chicago. The Bulls 68 and the Pistons 65. Michael Jordan 15 at halftime, and he's at the same number as we head to the fourth. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Chicago Stadium. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad. Better than 18,000 on hand. The Bulls have set an all-time season attendance record, and they are on their feet greeting the home club as they break the huddle and head back onto the floor, leading the Pistons by 3. The foul rundown, 4 apiece on Laimbeer, Edwards, and Rodman. Pippen has 4, 3 apiece on Jordan and Cartwright. Michael Jordan did not score in the third quarter. Isaiah Thomas with all 11 of his points in the third, and Scottie Pippen with a big third quarter, 12 of his 18 in the third. Phil Jackson now buying some time with his bench. Backcourt of Armstrong and Hodges. Purdue is back on the floor with Livingston and Grant. Armstrong is smashed. Sally and Laimbeer on the block of B.J. Armstrong. And the foul on Sally, that is his 4th.
Well, the inside people for the Pistons are not going to let any easy scores take place. They're going to make the guys go to the foul line, earn their free throws. But at the offensive end, the 3 big guys for the Pistons, Edwards, Laimbeer, and Sally, totaling only 6 points thus far. The advantage in the paint, the inside area, 36-18 in favor of the Bulls.
B.J. Armstrong, a excellent free throw shooter, 87% during the regular season. The Bulls 69 and the Pistons 65. Chicago has led most of the way. They opened up with that 20-8 lead. Detroit working its way back in the third. They were down by 8 at halftime. It is now a 5-point margin for Chicago. Thomas and Johnson at the guards. Laimbeer, Sally, and Aguirre up front. Aguirre looking to post up Livingston. Nice pass for Johnson. Yes, and it counts. Vinnie Johnson will go to the line. Mark Aguirre delivering to Vinnie Johnson, who was cutting to the bucket.
Every now and then, Mark Aguirre will throw a sensational pass. When he feels the double team, when he feels the pressure, Vinnie Johnson just cuts from the top of the circle. Aguirre sees him on the backdoor move.
Foul committed by Hodges. Vinnie Johnson has had his ups and downs at the free throw line. 3-point play for Vinnie. The Bulls 70 and the Pistons 68. Armstrong, air ball. These two clubs have met 18 times in postseason play over the last 3 years. Laimbeer for 3. Punched away from Johnson. Detroit has won 12 of the 18 in postseason competition. The last 3 seasons. This year, the Bulls took 3 of 5 from Detroit during the regular season. Hodges. Yes. Greg Hodges with his second field goal. Bulls by 4.
But Phil Jackson made a good point to us yesterday. He said, okay, they've knocked us out the last couple of years, but we're kind of the only team to give them problems in the playoffs.
Grant with the block, and he hurt his hand. Horace Grant rejecting Bill Laimbeer, but trying to shake it off. And off the collision, the foul called on Grant as he ran into Sally. That's 3 on Grant.
On the quick dump down, nice rotation by Grant at the other end. Hits his hand on the backboard after the block to sustain the injury.
Sally called for the travel. Rare turnover by the Pistons. 3 minutes gone by in the 4th. And a timeout taken.
Dodge and your local Plymouth dealers who invite you to test drive a Plymouth today. By Coors Light, the one that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now. And by First Brands Corporation, makers of STP Son of a Gun Protectant. Son of a Gun, bring back the best.
I don't know, Mike Benny, the Bull getting a little physical out here.
He's getting caught up in the emotion, excitement of the playoff series.
Bulls lead it 72-68. Michael Jordan sitting it out here at the start of the 4th quarter. He had 15 at the half, did not score at all in the 3rd. Is it possible, Mike, too much rest this week for Michael Jordan?
Well, he had the tendonitis in his knee, and the team was given a day off. Then the first day back to practice, Jordan took that day off, an additional day. And he said in the papers yesterday, I feel rested, I feel real good. It was what I needed.
However, much time remaining in this game, and Michael Jordan just loves to rise down the stretch. Will Perdue, with the shot clock running down, is called for the offensive foul. That's his second.
And it was an excellent call. He dipped that right shoulder. The offensive foul took place before the grab, which was to eliminate the shot. Watch him drive this right shoulder right through the defensive player. There it is. Good call.
Light pressure again by the Bulls, who drift back. Thomas working against Armstrong. Edwards matched with Perdue. Edwards with the open shot. Yes, the Bulls 72 and the Pistons 70.
The Pistons have 2 unique big men, both having the ability to step back and hit the face-up jump shot. Laimbeer with the greater range, but Edwards knocks out that mid-range jump on a regular basis.
Livingston with 3 on the 24. Livingston with his 3rd field goal. He has 6, and the Bulls lead at 74-70.
Aguirre knows he has to dig in now because they're not going to give him help on a player like Livingston. They feel he should be able to play Cliff straight up and stop him from scoring.
Livingston's game is offensive rebounding, the occasional bank shot. Done a nice job here today. Edwards. And Perdue lost it and was tied up. Sally tying up Perdue.
Although Livingston's not given a lot of credit for being a scorer, when you get him down 6-7 feet from the basket, this is his type of shot. The in-between range shot, little pump fake to get the defender up. He can make that one.
Spent 2 years with Detroit, 6 with Atlanta, signed with the Bulls as a free agent.
And probably one of the happier people that Tony Kukoc was not signed by the Bulls recently, because Livingston signed a 2-year contract, 1 option year next year.
Apparently the ball being awarded to Chicago. Detroit try to steal the tap. 8:20 remaining in the 4th quarter, and the Bulls lead by 4. Hodges with the step. Livingston is right there.
sometimes as a coach, you just get the feeling that today's the day I'm going to play a certain guy. Livingston in the playoffs only 41 minutes before today's game, but really responding out here this afternoon.
Elbow flash by Purdue, who has just collected his third.
If you don't keep a body on Cliff Livingston, he'll be around the glass to make the little easy follow-up shots. That's the best thing for him. Aggressiveness on offense.
Vinnie Johnson now 9 for 15. He has 19, and the Bulls with a 76-72 lead. Aguirre and Johnson leading the Pistons. 23 for Aguirre, the 19 for Johnson. Purdue swinging in. Agile move by Will Purdue to give the Bulls a 6-point advantage.
Purdue comes in. He knows he has limited minutes on the floor. When he catches the basketball, they've told him be a scoring threat. He certainly is right now.
Purdue jumping out to trap, and then collided with Edwards as he tried to get back.
At the offensive end, his mind is made up. He's going to get a shot off here against James Edwards. He doesn't care what happens. He's getting one up.
Vinnie Johnson. And Horace Grant on the rebound. The bench has done a solid job this afternoon for Phil Jackson's Chicago Bulls. Grant recaptures. Armstrong. Hodges for three. Yes.
A big break that time for the Chicago Bulls. The Pistons almost come down with a loose ball, but instead, the three-pointer.
Detroit taking a 20-second timeout with 6:37 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Hodges spotting up behind the three-point line. Such a threat for the Chicago Bulls. You must extend the defense.
The Bulls in the midst of a 9-2 run, leading the Pistons 81-72, 6:37 remaining in the fourth quarter. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, if you're wondering what's wrong with Michael Jordan, there was nothing wrong with him. They were trying to buy a lot of time. He's going to try to come in the game now and finish up strong. The man that they are worried about is Vinnie Johnson, trying to stop Vinnie Johnson. Marv?
Right about it. Michael Jordan has reported back in after sitting out for a lengthy period. Only 15 points for Jordan. Did not score at all in the third, but the Bulls bench has done a nice job. Detroit also has done it with the bench. The combination of Aguirre and Johnson stepping up. Thomas and Johnson at the guards. Aguirre up front with Edwards and Rodman. Livingston on Aguirre. Edwards, yes, and he's hurt. Comes up holding the left ankle. Bulls by 7. Edwards trying to walk it off, and Johnson gave the foul, wanting to stop the clock for his teammate, James Edwards.
It looked like Edwards, after he shot the jumper, landed on the defensive player's foot and turned the ankle.
It's been a tough injury-hit season for the veteran James Edwards, bothered for the most part by lower back problems.
And there it is. He lands on Cartwright's left foot, and, of course, Mr. Bill, once again, taking another player out.
It is uncanny, although there's no question that it was Edwards in landing on Cartwright that caused the injury. Mike Abdenauer, the Detroit trainer, and Scott Hastings helping Edwards back to the bench. Bulls 81, Pistons 74. Jordan posting and then flipping to Cartwright. Bulls lead by 9. Game 1 of the best of 7. Game 2 will take place here in Chicago on Tuesday. Game 3 next Saturday afternoon at the Palace of Auburn Hill. Illegal defense called on the Bulls.
Let's take a look at that injury a few moments ago to Edwards. Keep an eye. This is Bill Lambier. He'll rotate out, but keep an eye down low at the ankle area. After the jumper is released, in rotating out, Edwards comes down, left ankle right there on top of Cartwright. Not intentional, but just happens to be Cartwright in there one more time.
Second illegal defensive call on the Bulls, but Isaiah Thomas missed the free throw. Did you mention earlier that games 3 and 4 will be played at Pontiac? No, I guess it was me. They have moved. It's the Palace of Auburn Hills.
I don't think I would have made
it. It was me. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have said that.
5.5 to go in the fourth. McGuire will go to the line. He was pushed by Livingston.
You didn't try to push that one off on me, did you? No.
Second on Livingston. Mark McGuire, 2 for 2 from the line. He is a 76% free throw shooter. Timeouts remaining. Detroit with 4 and a 20, and Chicago with 3 and a 20. The Bulls 83, Pistons 76, and the light pressure being shown by the Pistons.
Pistons showing their 2-2-1 press. There's the trap at half court. Now they want to force a few turnovers or get the raw guys shooting. Livingston, jump shot corner. That's what the Pistons want.
Again, the isolation. McGuire backing Livingston. Shot clock at 5. McGuire. A good play by Armstrong, skirting the sideline. Here's Jordan. It will count. A goaltend has been called, so Jordan gets credit for his first field goal of the second half.
Jackie Nee said that Dennis Rodman took this ball off the glass. McGuire reaches for it. Armstrong runs hard, and now if it's up on the glass and taken off, good call.
Deflected out by Livingston. Here's Joe Dumars following a long rest, replacing Mark McGuire. 25 points for McGuire. And Chuck Daly going with a 3-guard alignment. Vinnie Johnson, Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas, along with Dennis Rodman and Bill Lambier. Shot clock at 5. Johnson, yes. Detroit down by 7. 4:25 remaining in the fourth quarter. 21 points for Vinnie Johnson. Dumars guarding Jordan. Lambier stepping out. Jordan is covered. Isaiah Thomas looking for the jump ball, but is called for the foul.
And Isaiah did not try to take him down intentionally. He reached behind and was trying to get the ball from behind his head to tie him up. Of course, Dennis Rodman has a little right-hand shiver forearm to it on the way down to help out.
So Michael Jordan will go to the line. He's 5 for 7 from the line. It is all point of view. Phil Jackson saying yesterday, well, this is the style of play you expect from the Detroit Pistons. From the Piston point of view, they say, well, it's hard-nosed basketball. And Chuck Daly mentioned prior to the game that he felt the Bulls were as aggressive, maybe more so than the Pistons during their regular season contest. A little gamesmanship on both sides.
Some teams have the physicalness to come right back at the Pistons, like two heavyweights, stand in the middle of the ring and slug it out. Others, it just breaks their concentration. They can't stay focused on what they have to do, and that's the problem.
Chicago by 9. Johnson got the step. And the foul from behind will put Lambier at the line. It's on Jordan. That's 4 on Michael Jordan. So Bill Lambier to the free throw line for the first time. He has struggled this afternoon, only 1 for 7 from the field. And Bill Laimbeer being greeted as he gets set to shoot his first. He's an 84% free throw shooter. In a collision during preseason with Olden Polynice, then of Seattle, Laimbeer suffered multiple fractures in his left cheek, leading to wearing that protective face mask. He's been wearing it ever since. And the Chicago lead is 7 with just under 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. They double up on Pippen, giving Armstrong the open shot. 7 for B.J. Armstrong. Bulls 89, Pistons 80.
Doubling down is fine, but someone must rotate to B.J. Armstrong. He's proven for the entire season he knocks out those 17, 18-foot jumpers on a regular basis.
Thomas for 3. Cartwright able to get to it. And the crowd urging the Bulls on. They lead by 9 as we come up on 3 minutes remaining in the fourth. Jordan. Again played well by Dumars. Dumars going 1-on-2. Being forced to the sideline by Jordan. Here's Johnson. Pippen rebounds. And he was fouled.
Vinnie Johnson shoots and chases, just don't get in his way.
Johnson called for the foul. Timeout taken. We'll be back in a moment. Us at halftime saw the NBA lottery draft take place, and it was Charlotte drawing the #1 selection, followed by New Jersey, Sacramento, Denver, Miami, Dallas, the Minnesota, Washington, Clippers, Orlando, and Cleveland. And Mike, on behalf of the entire staff, I'd like to wish the best of luck to Bob Costas, who was selected #1 by the Charlotte Hornets, and like his partner Pat Riley, has a very difficult career decision to make in the days to come.
And I will negotiate that contract.
Now to 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Chicago in possession. They lead the Pistons 89-80. Vinnie Johnson with the good play, but recovered by Grant. And Jess Kersey blowing the whistle.
Jess wants to get the 24-second clock straightened out, whether or not there was possession by Vinnie, then the turnover, or change of possessions back to the Bulls. He'll reset the 24. The deflection, the good hustle by Vinnie. Here's the possession. Now it changes back again. Right there is where the clock should change over.
Clearing out the sideline. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, earlier, James Edwards appeared to have sprained his ankle very badly. He came to the bench. The trainer, Mike Abner, checked it out. It's just a slight sprain, and he is available to come back in the game. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. James Edwards on the follow-through, landing on Bill Cartwright, and suffered the ankle injury. Shot clock at 8. And Laimbeer stepping out to commit the foul. That's 5 on Laimbeer.
Well, Bill Laimbeer had to step out the first time and trap Michael Jordan, then recover all the way across the floor to his man, then step out a second time on Michael Jordan. It's a lot to ask from the big fella.
And as Ahmad mentioned, James Edwards available to return, and he is about to check in. Michael Jordan, 7 for 9 from the line. It has been a low-key performance for Michael, but this one of those games where the bench has lifted the Bulls, and that was the major concern throughout the season. Bill Laimbeer hearing it from the crowd. Phil Jackson, when asked what is the one disappointment, would always say the inconsistency of the bench. But they have shown signs as the season has continued.
And perhaps they feed off the confidence that he displayed in them by inserting many of them into the game early and then staying with them even when Detroit was making a run at him.
Rodman for three. Dennis Rodman hits a three-pointer. And the Bulls now lead 91-83.
Rodman shot that from behind the three-point line and landed almost at the foul line that time.
He hit only 6 during the regular season from downtown. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Shot clock at 2. Jordan for 3. And that is a 24-second violation. So the Pistons will take over. Detroit staying with the 3-guard setup. Isaiah Thomas, he thought he was fouled. And now gives the foul on Armstrong.
And Chuck Daly went to a type of hurry-up offense, telling Isaiah, take it to the basket, trying to draw the foul, trying to stop the clock, trying to save his timeouts down the stretch here. After Isaiah had missed the quick shot attempt at the basket, he just comes back, takes the foul, stops the clock, puts him on the free throw line. Now they'll have to hope for a few misses and then some hurry-up offense and then use those 3 timeouts wisely down the stretch.
And B.J. Armstrong, a good free throw shooter. Now 4 out of 5 from the line. B.J. in his second season out of Iowa, #1 draft pick of the Bulls last year. Says he plans to attend law school after his basketball career. And he's given the Bulls a 10-point lead with 1.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Chicago Bulls gunning for their 14th straight home playoff victory. And looking to jump in front 1-0 in the best of 7. Dumars for 3. Cartwright continues to do the job off the board.
The crowd senses it right now. They feel they've got this one in control. They'll run the clock down, put Jordan in the middle of the floor, let him create or score the basketball at the end.
Shot clock at 2. Pippen fires. And it's a 24-second violation. John Sally returns. Scott Hastings coming on. 47 3/10 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and a timeout being taken by the Pistons. It's the Bulls by 10. We'll be back in Chicago after these words. Back in Chicago, the Bulls 93 and the Pistons 83. Today's Miller Genuine Draft Player of the Game, the Chicago Bulls bench, lifting the Bulls to what appears to be victory in Game 1 of this best of 7. And on behalf of the Bulls, NBC and Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. A look at the scoring rundown as Pippen picked it off. B.J. Armstrong, 9.6 assists. Foul called on Johnson. Will Perdue off the bench, 6 points, 6 rebounds. How about Cliff Levingston, 8 points, 3 rebounds. Craig Hodges, 7 points, including a key 3-point bomb. While Michael Jordan with 21, Scottie Pippen with 18, and Bill Cartwright 16 points and 9 rebounds. The Detroit Pistons also received standout performances from 2 of their bench players. Mark Aguirre hit 25, Vinnie Johnson with 21. Isaiah Thomas only 11 points, 8 assists, and did not get into it until the second half. Bill Cartwright replaced by Cliff Levingston, and Cartwright hears it from the crowd. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBA basketball and producer of today's game, Tommy Roy. Today's game directed by Andy Rosenberg. NBA Showtime produced by Victor Frank, directed by Kelly Atkinson. The NBA Lottery Draft, produced by John McGinnis, directed by Mary Buda Panuccio. And thanks to our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Cow, as the Bulls just play the clock down. 15 seconds remaining. A 94-83 lead. And it's a 24-second violation with 9 4/10 seconds left. Well, next weekend, the NBA playoffs will continue right here on NBC. Our coverage beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern time next Saturday with Showtime. Portland, LA on Sunday starting at 3, and Mike and I and Ahmad will be on hand at the Palace of Auburn Hills Saturday afternoon. Here's Dumars blowing the uncontested, and that will do it. The Chicago Bulls over the Detroit Pistons in game 1 by the score of 94-83. So they take the opener. They jumped in front with that 20-8 spurt in the first quarter. Detroit did make a couple of runs, but the Bulls able to hang on, and they win it by 11. We'll be back in Chicago in a moment.
Is he the key to the Blazers' championship dreams?
You have to sacrifice it.
This game began in an aggressive conversation fashion. Michael Jordan appeared to be fired up at the start, and then things finally settled down, and the Bulls went on to beat the Pistons 94-83. Tonight, the 100 Lives of Black Jack Savage, followed by Expose with Tom Brokaw, Real Life with Jane Pauley, and an NBC world premiere movie, Knight Rider 2000. From Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Marv Albert. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.